Okay, nice to see a full house today. We're going to start the meeting with a prayer from First American Title.
One's in her way.
Thank you. You just brought us in. We're greeters this morning. Will everyone please bow your heads? And dear Lord in heaven, thank you for this beautiful day, Lord, and everyone who is here today that finds the value in the meeting and the information that's brought to us. Lord, we just thank you for your many blessings, and may we always acknowledge you for them, small and large. Please protect our military and guide their families, and bless those who are in need of your cure and your hand on them. Amen.
Amen.
First American Title is also doing the pledge.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Please join me in the salute to this great nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, inspirational message. WCR.
Good morning. Eugenio with the Women's Council of Realtors, and this is the inspiration message. My responsibility is getting all my players to play for the name in the front of the jersey, not the one on the back. So as a president of the Women's Council, I want to play for us. So thank you so much.
Anybody here for the first time today?
Everybody stand up.
First year. First time this year.
Sorry.
You can introduce yourself, please.
Oh, me?
Yes, please.
Everybody knows me.
Okay, next person.
Isabella is a brand new realtor, and she's here for the first time, just joined the board with Country Knoll Real Estate.
Thank you. Get him in the red. Yes, you.
My name is Philip. I work with Fairway Independent Mortgage, and I'm a branch assistant.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Anybody else? Yes.
Nicole Torres with Moving Mortgage.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm here with Fairway, I'm a processor, and we're all here today to promote our 5K that we'll be having on August 13th.
Okay. Breakfast providers? Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chad Uresti. I'm a home mortgage consultant with Wells Fargo, right here in the local area, the 1250 Corona branch office, and got an opportunity to meet a lot of you, and it's a pleasure, and looking forward to making some more connections with you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We have a breakfast provider with Women's Council.
Yay!
Okay. First American Title is the greeters, right?
Yes.
In the interest of time, guys, we're going to do the announcements at the end. I apologize for that. We have a special guest today, and we may be running out of time. So, without further ado, Ms. Patricia. Yes, please go ahead.
Good morning. Good to see a full house. We have some seats over here if anybody needs them. Dr. Alemán has been at Corona before. He's spoken, but he's never spoken here. We're so happy to have him here. Eugene earned a bachelor's degree in political science from the Universidad del Salvador in Buenos Aires, Argentina. an MBA with a concentration in marketing from the Inter-American University in Puerto Rico, and an MA and doctorate in economics with an emphasis in economic development and international trade and finance from Florida International University. Gary Hills, he used to be my boss. And Eugene's commentary has appeared in national publications such as the Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Times, San Francisco Chronicle, Washington Post, USA Today, as well as many national and international media outlets, including the Associated Press, Reuters, and Bloomberg News. He has also made appearances on CNBC and U.S. Hispanic media outlets. He's still teaching online as adjunct professor of economics at Drexel University in Philadelphia. But in 1999, he also taught there as a professor. And right now he's the director and senior economist at Wells Fargo. He forecasts national, regional, and international economic trends. His primary focus is on the United States economy and the global economy. Within the U.S. economy, he covers the U.S. consumer and interest rates. Eugene is also an expert on Latin American economics with special interest in the economies of Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. He is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Please welcome Dr. Alemán.
Good morning. I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to see home construction going on. I haven't seen that for a long time in this region. So I am going to talk about the U.S. economy. And yesterday at my presentation, I asked the audience, there's something new, and it's not the date. Okay? There's something new in the title of my presentation.
Higher interest.
No.
Higher interest rates.
No.
Security.
The question mark. So I have been using this title for 2 years, and now I have included a question mark because it doesn't seem that we are going to increase interest rates anytime soon. Just today, the Bank of England decreased interest rates further. So we are the only weirdos that want to increase interest rates. And when I finish my presentation, you will probably understand why we are weirdos and why there is no reason to increase interest rates today. But let me start with this. This is a graph that I normally show that has nothing to do with my presentation. I just use it to make a joke. So this is the growth in federal government outlays, federal government expenditures. And this is a rate of growth. So this is a year-over-year rate of growth for government outlays for the last 56 years. Yes? So if a politician is trying to get your vote, saying that they do not spend money, you show them this graph. Yes? Because they have always spent a lot of money. Every time there's a shaded area, that represents a recession. Yes? So 50, 60 years, we have had 9 recessions. Yes? So an average 6, 7 years every recession. I mean, in between the recession. It doesn't mean that we always have 7 years for a recession. We have had recessions very back to back, correct? But on average, we have a recession every 6 or 7 years. So that means that we should be very close to a recession today because we have been growing slowly, but we have been growing for the last 7 years. Yes? The other thing that you have to figure out, or you have to look at that graph, is every time there's a recession, government expenditures skyrocket. Yes? Because this is what we learned back in the 1930s when the US government did not do anything. And we spent like 20 years in a depression. When did we get out of the depression? That's very depressing.
You proved my point.
When did we get out of the depression?
The war?
The war. Why? Because we spend a lot of money, yeah. We really like to spend money for wars. We don't like to spend money for anything else, but we do like to spend money for wars. So because we went into war, we got out of the depression. But the lesson from the depression was that every time there's a recession, the federal government should get in and help the economy. How does the federal government help the economy? Normally they send resources to the states so the states can keep their business going and minimize the effects of the recession. This is what happens every time there's a recession. The federal government transfers funds to the states keep their business together, and we get out of the recession. And there's no difference from this latest great recession, where government expenditures skyrocket also. But you can see that after that period of very, very strong growth in government expenditures, the rate of growth of government expenditures has been negative for a very long time. All during the last 2 years, we have started to grow government expenditures. 100% of these government expenditures growth is military government expenditures. This is fundamentally spending in the military. But that is not the only reason. I mean, recessions are not the only reason why we spend a lot of money. Whenever there's a war, of course, as I have been saying, there's also an increase in government expenditures. And the third biggest reason is whenever a president wants to be reelected, we also increase government expenditures so we can buy the votes for reelection, correct? So that is what happened in the middle part of these last 7 years where government expenditures increased. So from the fiscal surplus or deficits, this is the right graph. It's not upside down. It's just what it is. This is the fiscal surplus or deficit. Yes, above zero is a surplus, below zero is a deficit. So you can see that we have never been good or having a surplus. Yes.
We've been worse.
We haven't been worse, no. Oh well.
Yeah, no, we have. Yeah,
than today, yes, we have. Yeah, of course. So the only period in these last 50 years that we had a surplus was during that period, very short period of time. What was that period? The Clinton administration. Yes, don't be afraid. Yes. I think that this is the only reason why Miss Hillary Rodham is now Hillary Clinton. No?
That should be her campaign logo.
Yeah, that is her campaign logo. But since nobody understands what that means, then she doesn't show it. But that is her. Well, actually, Republicans say that was Reagan's effect, which is weird. But anyway, everybody uses that for their own reasons. But so Mr. Clinton left office with a surplus of $300 billion. Then Mr. Bush left office with a deficit of $800 billion. Then Mr. Obama took it to $1.5 trillion.
How much?
1.5.
Wow.
Trillion. By the way, I mean, I say that Mr. Obama took it to 1.5 trillion, but that was actually Bush's. I mean, this is apolitical from that point of view because you know what? The fiscal year for the U.S. starts in October. Yes. So in October we signed the budget. And that budget is used by Obama when he took office in January. So, of course, Republicans say, well, he shouldn't have spent all that money. Oh, sure, I have a check on my desk that says $1.5 trillion signed by George W. Bush. And I am so stupid that I am not going to spend money that Mr. Bush gave to me? No. So he spent everything, yes? But after that, this is the reason why growth in government expenditure has been negative for so long, because the deficit has been going down. Today's deficit is at about $500 billion, which is still humongous, but it's much better than before. So what is the joke? Here is the joke. Yes? We have two political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. Yes? Both like to spend money like crazy.
We all do.
Yes. This is my proof. Yes? Two graphs that show that politicians like to spend money like crazy. There is no difference. The biggest difference comes when it's time to pay back. Yes?
They're coming to take you away.
Republicans don't like to pay taxes, period. No questions asked. Democrats want Republicans to pay taxes. So nobody wants to pay taxes, and this is the problem of our political system. Our political system is broken because our social contract is broken. Because we have lost the ability to get together and do things like we have to in order to improve economic activity. So, under that depressing thought, this is what has been happening in the US economy since the end of the Great Recession. The economy is growing, but it's growing very slowly. Yes? The growth in the second quarter was 1.2%, which was very, very slow. In the first quarter, it was 0.8%. In the last quarter of 2015, it was 0.9%. So very slow growth this year. And our expectation is that the economy will grow about 1.4, 1.6% this year, versus 2.4% last year. However, for next year, we have 2.1%, so just a little bit better. Of course, this could change on November 9th, yes? This could change on November 9th, depending on who wins. But anyway, growth in economic activity has been very slow since the Great Recession ended. Before the Great Recession, we were growing at about 3.5% to 4%. Today, we are growing barely 1 to 1.5 to 2%. So almost half the rate at which we were growing before. So why is that? Well, one of the reasons is our political system sucks. Yeah. And nothing is being done to improve economic activity. But another reason has to do with labor, and I'll explain why. But before going into that, look at this. These are two series that are very, very highly correlated. So when one increases, the other one also follows. This is real disposable income. So this is the purchasing power of our income. And that is the darker line. That is growing at about 3.5% today. Yeah, so very strong income, real income growth. I mean, much of this increase in income growth, in real income growth, is because of oil prices are very low. So we have more money in our pockets because we don't spend that much money in gasoline. And also because employment is very strong. And then the lighter line is personal consumption expenditures. Also very in real terms, yes. And that is growing at about 3% per year. So very strong personal consumption, very strong personal income. And by the way, the US economy in the second quarter grew by 1.2%, but personal consumption expenditures grew by 4.2%. So remember, 70%, almost 70% of the US economy is personal consumption. So as long as personal consumption remains strong, the US economy will continue to grow. And this is what happened during the second quarter. Even though the economy grew very, very slowly, it wasn't because of consumption. It was because of exports, it was because of investment, and it was because of government expenditures. We were very, very weak. So the fundamental variables of the US economy are still very, very strong, even though the overall economy is not very strong. This is employment. This is the number of jobs created during the last 16 years and a half by month, yes? And you can see that during the Great Recession, we lost 9 million jobs, yes? It took us more than 5 years to recover those 9 million jobs. Since October of 2010, we have been growing jobs. Yes? Forget about the first 3 months of 2010. You know, those very, very large increases. That was the first quarter of 2010. You know what happens the first quarter of every decade? Yeah, we have the census.
Oh, right.
So the federal government hires a lot of people and then they fire them. And this is what happened afterwards. These people were laid off. And then after that, October of 2010, employment was, for the first time, positive since the start of the Great Recession. Since then, we have created almost 15 million jobs. But it took us a while to recover the 9 million jobs that were created, that were destroyed during the Great Recession. So employment growth has been positive since October of 2010. That means that this is the longest standing back-to-back increase in employment in the history of this country. So employment, you're a Republican, I guess.
Good girl.
So look at employment growth. So I said before that the economy was growing at 3 to 4%. But look at the growth in employment during those years. Very weak. Versus employment, which is very strong, and has been very strong during the last 6-7 years. So why is employment so strong and growth so weak? Well, I have my hypothesis. And the hypothesis is this. There are 10,000 Americans retiring per day today. 10,000 boomers retiring per business day. That means that 200,000, more than 200,000 Americans retire per business day per month. Yes? And my take is that these are the most productive members of the labor force in the US during the last 50 years. Why do I know that?
Because you're a boomer.
I know that because otherwise you would not be able to retire. Had you not saved enough, earned enough, you would never be able to retire. So my point is that this is the most productive labor force or members of the labor force that are retiring in mass every single day. Who is coming in to substitute them?
Children.
You know, I have been making this joke for a long time, and now Pokemon Go was a great addition to that. I have 3 kids, which are millennials, yes? The 3 of them were fanatics of Pikachu, yes? And 2 of them are working, 1 of them is still in college. And You know they get upset when I make this joke. But no, I mean, millennials text a lot, but not only millennials text a lot. Everybody text a lot, correct? But I was surprised that 47 minutes per day is the average time that everybody uses to find Pokemons, which is weird, which is very weird. Actually, I take my lunch in my desk, and then I will go and walk in downtown Charlotte, and everybody's looking for Pokemons. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. So, I mean, Pokemon issue aside, millennials aside, the problem today is that this very, very experienced, very, very productive labor force is being substituted by a very, very unproductive labor force. Yeah? And it's not because of Pokemon and millennials. It is because of the magnitude of the change. Yes? So the most productive members of the labor force are dropping out, and the least productive of the labor force are coming in a very, very strong way. Yes, this has never happened before. It is always the case that some people leave the labor force to retire and some come in, but the magnitude at which is happening today is making this economy very unproductive. Yes? So that is the reason why employment is so, and look, the only thing that we need to get the Federal Reserve to increase interest rate very fast is wage growth and salary growth. And we don't see that. Why we don't see that? Because they are very unproductive. In order for wage growth to increase and salary growth to increase, you have to have an increase in productivity. Because, I mean, it's the same as you in your industry. You are one of the most important industries in that sense. The more you sell, the more money you make. Yes, you have this ability that the more productive you become, the more you earn. Yes, this is what happens in the labor market. So why salaries and wages are not going up? Because productivity is very low. There's no firm that would want to increase salaries to these kids because they are very unproductive. Yes? So this is a problem. And this is kind of a good problem because that means that the Federal Reserve can wait and not increase interest rates for a longer time than what they are expecting it today. So very strong growth in employment, very little productivity growth, very little economic growth. And that is why I say that the Federal Reserve will have serious issues to increase interest rates in this environment. This is one of the series that I have been hearing people saying that we are going into a recession. And, this is one of the first numbers that I look every week. This is a weekly number at the national level. And almost every time, you see every time that it goes up, almost every time, not always. It's not 100%, but almost 80 to 90% true. That when this number starts to go up, then we go into a recession. There's no signs. There are no signs that this number is going up. And actually, it has been at historic lows for many years, for the last year and a half. So from that point of view, there are no signs that the economy is going into recession. And as long as this number continues to go down or remain low, there is no possibility of a recession today. So there is no recession in the horizon. Employment continues to be very strong across the board by sectors, with the exception of manufacturing, which is, it's having trouble because the US dollar is very strong and because the global economy is doing really well. Yes? But other than that, from trade, transportation, and utilities to government employment to education and health services, professional business services, everything is doing very good. And government employment is the second largest employer of the country, yes? Yes, I know that Republicans don't like this. They would say, "No, we don't like employment in the government." And they always blame the federal government, yes? But look, it is not the federal government who hires workers. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it's almost everything is state and local. Only 13% of all government employment is, and these are civilian positions, of course, yes? This does not include military. But nobody cares how much we spend on military, so. No, nobody cares.
You don't spend enough.
We don't spend enough. We spend 100 times more than the next 10 countries, and we don't spend enough. Well, anyway. So, the federal government employment is only 13%. If you look at a federal government employment line, how many jobs the federal government has for the last 30 years, it has been going down for the last 30 years. So I really don't know what the federal government does with its money, but it's not in hiring workers. Yes? Anyway. Unemployment rates, 4.9%. These unemployment rates, according to the Federal Reserve, is called full employment. Full employment means if you want a job, you have a job. Yes? It means that if a firm wants to hire a worker, they have to bring it in from its competitor. What do you have to do in order to bring a worker from your competitor?
Pay more.
You have to pay them more. Yes? So the pool of available workers is non-existent today. Yes? So you have to pay more to whoever you want to bring, because you will have to bring it from your competitor. This is what the Federal Reserve is looking very, very, very forcefully, because they don't want to see wages and salaries getting ahead of them. Not because they don't like increases in wages and salaries, it's because if there are increases in wages and salaries, you will be willing to buy more goods and services, and that will push prices higher. And that means inflation is going to start to move up. For now, there is no sign that is happening still. This is another look at these baby boomers dropping out of the labor force. Yes? You can see that baby boomers have been dropping out since 2008 at a very, very fast pace. Yes? And that's why this labor force participation rate has been going down. Of course, it's not only baby boomers, it's people that cannot get a job and go back to college. Yes? Because student loan growth is very, very strong. And then there are those that cannot get a job and just drop out of the labor force. So these are the three main reasons why this labor force participation rate is coming down. This is my biggest concern today in the labor market. The labor market is doing well, but it's not perfect. And this is one of the measures that shows that there are still serious problems with the labor market. This is how long does it take for a person who loses his job to get a new job back. Yes? And basically what this is long-term unemployment. Yes? And there was an article, I don't remember if it was in the Wall Street Journal yesterday or in the New York Times. I always read both extremes, so I know where I can hang. So the biggest issue is that companies do not like to hire people that have been out of the labor force for a long time. Why? Because they think that something is wrong with those people. Okay? So the longer people are out of the job, the more difficult it is for them to get back into the job markets. And there is this measure that shows that there's a group of people in the U.S. that are having serious issues to get back to a job. My take is that these are government employees. Yes. Why? Because Up to until 2010, the federal government, as I said, was sending money to the states so they can keep their payrolls intact. And then we started talking about the deficit and the debt. Then the federal government stopped sending money to the states, and the states figured out that they were broke. Since then, the states have destroyed 1.5 million jobs. And you can see that that measure of mean duration of unemployment started to increase after 2010. So many of these workers are state and local government officials that have not been able to reinsert themselves in the private market. Yes? So this is one of my biggest concerns. These are people that don't know computers, that are having trouble to get back to this economy because they don't have the ability and the experience they need for the jobs that are available today. Who is doing very well? I know that because I have two kids out of college and both are working. Yeah, they are not making $500,000 like they thought that they deserve, but they are out of my payroll. I am still depressed because I am still paying for one more college student, but look, the unemployment rate for college degree graduates is 2.5%. That is more than full employment. If you want to hire a college degree graduate, there's nobody out there. Yeah, so you will have to bring it from your competitor. If you want to hire somebody with some college, it is also full employment. 4% is full employment. Actually, people with high school diploma, there is nobody available either. The only people that are still available are those who have not finished high school. And those are normally unemployable. Yes, these are the people that would stay out and they have serious trouble getting a job in this economy. Inflation, where? There's no inflation whatsoever. Look, the last time that we increased interest rates was when inflation was heading to 6%. Today, 1.1%. So there is no reason for the Federal Reserve to increase interest rates. Actually, last year we were saying that the Federal Reserve was going to increase interest rates 4 times this year. Now we are down to 1 time in December. And I have serious doubts that that is going to be the case. So interest rates are going to remain very, very low. Actually, every time that the Federal Reserve says that they are going to increase interest rates, the US dollar goes up. Yes? People bring capital into the US and the yield curve, the interest rates drop. So it's very, very difficult in this environment for the Federal Reserve to convince the market that they need to increase interest rates. So it is going to be a very, very difficult affair for them. So this is how the federal funds rate has behaved. You can see the increasing interest rate in December of last year. And people ask me, if you say that there was no reason why they should increase interest rate in this environment, why did they do it in December? And I said, well, look, because they had said that 2015 was the lift-off year. And December of 2015 was the last month of 2015. So they had to do it. Yes, because they had already said that they were going to do it. So that's why they increased interest rates. And the economy is growing so slowly that they are not going to increase interest rates this year, according to my view. This is the Federal Reserve balance sheet. Yes? This is the enormous effort the Federal Reserve did or made to prevent the depression. Yes? This is the purchase of mortgage-backed securities, which is the light blue area. And the black area is the purchase of U.S. Treasuries. Yes? A normal balance sheet for the Federal Reserve is $800 billion. Today is $4.5 trillion. Yes? So this is the biggest concern, another big concern that I have. If the Federal Reserve has to get rid of this paper at a very, very fast pace, then we are in trouble. But for now, it's been very, very smooth. They are not adding anything more. They're just reinvesting whatever they comes due every month, and they are buying the same amount into purchase of mortgage-backed securities and U.S. Treasury. So this is the reason why home prices drop only by 40%. Had they not done this, home prices would have dropped by 80%. So this is the reason why home prices were relatively benign. If you think that is benign, yes, compared to what could have been, it was good. So the housing market is getting there. Actually, this is the first year since the Great Recession where the housing market is actually the best sector, the best performing sector in the country. And you can see new home sales, which have been lagging, are starting to move up. Housing starts are about where we estimate household creation is today, 1.1, 1.2 million units. Existing home sales are as strong as they were early in 2000. So very, very strong existing home sales. So the housing market is doing very well. Home prices are growing at about 5% per year, which is much better than the 15% that we had in 2013, where the Federal Reserve said that they wanted to start tapering, they wanted to start pulling the plug out of monetary expansion. Now, home prices are growing at about 5%, which is a good measure. And the most important part of this is that most of the growth in the housing market and on prices is due to mortgage lending. Yes, it is no longer investors and foreigners. It is basically American consumers that are starting to get mortgages and buying homes with mortgages. Of course, there's a lot of foreigners still, especially in California. But you know, I was in Vancouver 2 months ago, and I know that Los Angeles is slowing down. Downtown Los Angeles, the Chinese are not coming in as fast as they used to. And then I went to Vancouver, and Vancouver is booming. I mean, the average price of a home in Vancouver is $3 million.
Wow.
Yes? So they said, what is going on? Somebody said, well, I think that the Chinese think that the Canadians are going to build a wall after November 9th. So all the Chinese are jumping the wall before. So the Chinese are buying into Vancouver, everything there is. They're competing with my jokes. But anyway. Negative equity by state. Just a comparison between 2010 and 2016, you can see Nevada had 66.5% of all mortgages underwater back then. Today is only 17.5%. California was 31.6% of all mortgages underwater. Today is only 5.9%, which is impressive. And you can see other states, and the U.S. as a whole is 8%. So California is better than the U.S. as a whole. Okay, so the U.S. economy, as I said, is doing relatively well. It's very slow, but it's not as bad as many have been saying. The manufacturing sector is 14% of the U.S. economy. Yes? So the manufacturing sector, any number above 50 means expansion. So we were down to below 50 several months ago. Now we have moved up again. You can see that July number was 52.6. So that means an expansion in the manufacturing sector. Very slow, but it's expanding. So 14% of the U.S. economy is very, very weak, but it's still positive. And 86% of the economy is the service sector. That means that the non-manufacturing sector is doing very well. So the economy is doing relatively well. There are some sectors, especially investment and government expenditures, that are not working, and that is pushing economic growth down. By the way, even though we are only 14% manufacturing, we are the largest manufacturer of the whole world. Yeah. So even if I say that it's only 14%, that is enough to beat the crap out of everybody else.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is not that we don't produce manufacturing goods. The fact is that we don't use workers to produce manufacturing goods. Yes, we use machines. Why?
Cheaper.
It's not that cheaper, but the problem is that we have many laws that incentivize firms to get machines. Why? Because if you buy a machine, you have what is called accelerated depreciation. Yes? So you can depreciate the machine and show you profits are higher. Yes? At a faster pace. So firms tend to buy machines, depreciate, so you cannot depreciate the work. Yes, you have to pay them for the whole life. Yes? But you can depreciate the machine, and then your numbers, your accounting numbers, look very nice. So once that depreciation is over, you buy another machine and you depreciate it fast, and then you show better numbers again. So that is something that is pushing firms to substitute from labor to machinery. And that is part of the things that we are not doing well in the US. But anyway, consumers are borrowing a lot. These are two types of borrowing. One, the darker bars is credit card lending or borrowing. That is very weak. It has been positive for the last couple of years, but it's still very weak compared to the past. What is booming is the other thing, this non-revolving credit, which is 95% of this is student loans and auto loans. Wow. So my conclusion, just by looking at this graph, is that everybody's going back to college on a new car. Anyway. U.S. households have continued to deleverage. We got very highly leveraged before the Great Recession to 125% of income. Today, we are only at 95% of income, which is not great, but is much better than before. But the important thing is that this debt service ratio is how much out of our income we have to spend to satisfy our debts. Yes? Which is very, very low compared to historical standards. So this is what we look at to see whether we're going to have better credit scenario in the future, and we are expecting that to happen. This is perhaps the reason why I think that is not happening, because consumer confidence is very weak. Yes, in order to borrow, in order to think about the future, that the future is going to be better, so you engage in the economy, you have to be confident. And one of the things that is marking this period of time in the US, and that's why I said that our political system is so deranged and weird, is because confidence in the future is very weak. And I think that is the responsibility of our broken political system, where people don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And that is affecting our ability to grow over time. This is another reason or measure that shows how we are so not confident about the future. So if you are not confident about the future, you save a lot of money because you don't know what is going to happen in the future. Yes? And this is what we are doing today. And this is actually not saving. This is hoarding. Yes? Because you don't get paid a penny for saving money. Yes? I remember 2 years ago, normally I send my 1040 on January 31st. But that year, I had not received my 1099 from interest on savings. Yes? So I waited and waited and waited. And then I called Wells Fargo that in April 12th. Where is my 1099? I have been waiting for it. And the lady said, Mr. Alemán, I don't know if you earn less than $10 in interest, you do not pay tax. So it was so bad that I had not even made $10 in interest payments during that year. And that's how I learned that you don't pay taxes if you earn less than $10. Then this year, I earned $14, and 4 of those $14 were taxes. Anyway, okay. So the good news for you guys is interest rates are at an all-time low. There is no way that the Federal Reserve is going to increase interest rates anytime soon. And even if they increase interest rates, long-term interest rates will remain very low. Yes, they are going to have a very, very tough time to raise those long-term interest rates. So that is my, so we are having for this year 1.8% growth versus 2.4% for last year and 2.1% for next year. So still growth, but very, very slow. How much time do I have? Not too much because I have to go. But so there's a choice here. Or do you want to see California or Riverside?
Riverside.
Forget about California. You have the graph. I mean, I'll leave the presentation so you can have a copy. So. But let me, I mean, the Inland Empire, actually, it's not Riverside. But, so very strong. This is employment. The dark line is employment. It has come down, but it's still much higher than California and the US. So very strong growth. The unemployment rate is still coming down. It's still not quite as low as the national level, but that is probably because you have a lot of people coming into the region, which is very, very good because that is the way you sell homes. Yes, more people you get in, more homes you sell. Look, even manufacturing employment in the region is very, very strong here. So that is good news. Every sector is creating jobs. Home price growth is about also 5-6% today. So very, very close, very similar to the national. Permits are very weak, but actually I saw some new construction of homes when I drove from the airport to my hotel yesterday, which is weird. It's the first time that I see home construction for the last 7 years in this region. So that is good news. So we are starting to see some improvement in home construction. Affordability has diminished, but it's still not any closer than how unaffordable was back then. So still some possibilities there. And this is another thing. This is what I was telling you. Population growth is very, very strong compared to other regions. So that is one of the things that is driving house growth and home sales growth here. So that's it. As a very good friend of mine always says when I explain something to him, he says, Eugenio, thank you very much for your explanation. I am still confused, but at a higher level. Thank you.
Questions?
Yes.
What do you think about banks paying negative interest
in the U.S.? No.
It won't happen.
No, and remember, negative interest rates in the rest of the world is not for customers. Yes, this is a measure that is a punishment to banks for not lending, but that is not translated into customers. Yeah, so individual customers cannot get negative interest.
What sector do you feel is the best, say, like the next 18 months of investing?
Well, I cannot give any advice in investing. So I am barred from giving advice in investing. But look at the employment numbers and you will see sectors that are better than others. I'm sorry, I am barred from giving investment advice.
Thank you.
Yes.
The way that the U.S. economy bought the securities to help us in like 2011, 2012,
Do we see, China, Europe doing that, where it will grow their economy, which will throw ours off? Would that be a spike? Because they grew pretty quick the last couple of years.
No, the purchase.
Like a stimulus plan, or, them, taking on a deficit the way we did.
Oh, no, well, no, the Chinese economy is having trouble with their growth. So they are not spending a lot of time, because what they want to go is from an economy that was concentrated in investment and exports to a domestic economy, so driven by the consumer, just like we have in the US. But in order to do that, you have to transition to a very egalitarian economy. So that means you have to have a large middle class. And they have no middle class at all. They have the rich, the filthy rich, and the filthy poor. So they are trying to go into creating their own middle class, but in order to do that, you have to redistribute income. And it's very difficult. I mean, we know that it's very difficult to redistribute income. So no, they are not going to try to push their economies. So we will have to grow on our own without taking them into account.
In regards to like the inflation numbers, the Fed are saying that they want to raise the rates when we hit that 2% like inflation rate, and they're using PCE. I noticed you use PCE as well. Why do you feel that's a better measure than CPI?
Oh, because CPI is only a basket of goods. So every 10 years we do a surveys of consumer expenditures, yes? And we measure. I mean, the BEA, or the Labor Department, measures a basket of a typical goods that a typical family in the U.S. consumes. Yes, and that basket is about 500 and something goods, different goods. So the CPI is limited to that basket of goods. The PCE is the price of every single good and service being bought. So it's a much more general measure of inflation.
In that basket of goods, though, doesn't it more accurately weight like housing costs?
Correct, but the problem is that if the weighting is the same. The problem is it's not the same because it's limited to a smaller basket. The problem is that it measures what an average American consumes. Yes. So if you are an average American, if you earn $40,000 per year and spend money in what a typical American family earning $40,000 per year spends their money, then the CPI is a good measure. But if you earn $150,000 per year, it is not a good measure of inflation. Yes, because you hear that high-income individuals say, it's impossible that inflation is at 1.1% because my manicure or my Mercedes-Benz is every day is more expensive. Yes, and it has increased 20%. It cannot be 1.5%. So that's why CPI is limited in the ability to measure overall inflation, and that's why we use PCE because it involves every single good and service that is purchased in the market.
What effect is the $15 minimum wage going to have?
Look, I am one of those weird economists that don't like minimum wages. I think that if you cannot get paid more than $7, just go to another job that will value your experience and your work. It hasn't ever made that difference because, those who have a job will keep their jobs and will earn more, so they will spend more. The problem is those who do not have a job. If you cannot get a job at $7.25, it is going to be very difficult to be hired at $15. So, but going back to real wages are today in the U.S. where they were in 1960. So that means that you can increase the minimum wage to $20 or $30 per hour, and you will not make any difference. Yes, because inflation has eaten into wages. So, you know, it's a highly political debate. I know the economists that are that are in favor. I typically am not in favor because if you are not getting hired at 7.25, imagine what would happen at 15. So from that point of view, I am normally not in favor of that.
Yeah, we can say that we are in the growth phase of the real estate cycle.
Yes.
Yeah. How much longer do you think it's gonna last? I know it's a difficult question to answer.
It's very difficult because, first of all, the housing market reacts to interest rates. So as long as interest rates remain low, we are going to have an expansion. And I don't see interest rates going up for the next 2 years. So that's my best guess, and it's a guess. Thank you very much. I have to take a break.
Thank you so much. That was a terrific presentation. And I want to thank Christopher Bell and Gary Hills for bringing them to our meeting today. Next week, they're going to have Ted Rosso from the Coronado Unified School District.
Awesome. Thank you. Announcements. Who's lined up here to do announcements?
Ready?
Good morning, David England. Glad we have a full house today. As the economy changes, our sign problems change too, which is kind of a good thing because the more houses that become available, the more open houses we do. But with that is more signage. And unfortunately, there have been increased violations of the signs. And it happens every time the market changes. But the violators create a problem for those that do it correctly, which means we could lose our ability to have signs completely. Well, we had a discussion last week at our LCRC meeting with the incumbent Councilman Dick Haley and gave him a suggestion on how they can afford to have a code enforcement person on the weekend, because that was the problem. We don't have anybody to monitor it. People are violating it, but they're not doing anything. Well, he called me a couple of days ago and said, I got it done. It's going to be corrected. So, as a warning for our members, because we know our members don't violate, and a lot of it is from out of the area, but for those that do violate, be warned. The code enforcement will be out on the weekends. They're going to pick up violating signs, and you will be fined heavily until you get the idea that you can't do it that way. Read the rule. It's on the TIGAR website. You can look at all the sign ordinances for many of the areas on the TIGAR website. We will be publishing information to all the members directly through emails and the brokerages, so please be aware. Pass it on. You guys are the choir. Pass it on to your offices. Let them know that you got to be good or we're going to lose it. So, thank you.
Good morning, Jean Halverson, Education Chair this year. I just want to give you a real quick reminder that we have a safety seminar coming up for realtors. Stay safe out there. It's coming September 1st. Also, in the same vein, there's a safety. It's join us for a night out against crime. It's this Tuesday in the Norco Target parking lot. It starts at 5. All sorts of stuff going in there. We're trying to bring the community together to fight crime. So thank you. Good morning, everybody. Judy and Lisa from Fairway. First of all, join me in thanking our veterans that served our country. Let's give them a hand. Just want to let you know I have my crew back here, and we're still raising money for our veterans. We had shirts myself. You all know what the 22 means. Unfortunately, 22 veterans take their lives every day, so we're raising money. So come and see my crew in the back.
Well, we're excited. We have 2 more weeks, so we'd definitely like to see you guys come and support us. 100% of these funds are going to our veterans here in our local community. August 13th, you guys, no donation is too big or too small. If you're not a runner, we could always take a donation. How do we thank our veterans is by giving back to our community. So whether it's with us at American War Initiative with Fairway or another veteran nonprofit organization, that's the best way to thank our veterans is just going out and helping and participating. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank Mia. Mia has actually given us a $100 check, so thank you so much, Mia.
Mia with Claims. And thank you, Lisa and Vicky. You guys had signed up, so thank you very much. So again, come out and support us, guys.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt. I'm with TIGAR staff. Just want to remind you that we still have our veterans grant, disabled veterans grant, still available up to $2,000 in closing costs. So if you know anybody, any purchasers who are disabled, first-time home buyer, veterans, please let them know about the $2,000 grant. The second thing I want to go over is the Cultural Diversity Symposium. We are having this on Saturday, August 13th. It's a free event. Mayor Jason Scott is going to be there. It's just to increase awareness about the cultural differences between the consumer and how realtors can address those challenges. Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning, Adrian Egor with the Women's Council of Realtors. Just to let you know that we are still accepting members. You don't have to wait until next year. We still are in our membership drive. We do have sessions going on. So please join us and join us our committees. And also, did you guys like the breakfast? It was provided by the Women's Council, but especially by Mr. Dan Char from my
I just want Diane West, Carmichael West Realty, and Women's Council Realtors. If you would just mark the last week, I believe it's whatever it is in September, Wednesday the 20-something, we have a special program for you. Last week when we did our Women's Council, we did the fraud event with our district attorney's office. And we are going to take that to the next step. It's going to be called the Claims Chronicles. And if you've not heard Lee from First American Title, he is a wealth of knowledge. And he's going to share with us the things with the wire fraud, the things with the hero problems, and all the other claims that are going on out there that stop that commission check that you just wrote checks against and mailed because you thought you were getting that check tomorrow and there was a title issue. So he's going to educate us. It's called the Claims Chronicles. Watch for that. It's going to be the best information. I will tell you, I have a contact at the legal aid, and they are being inundated with calls and complaints on the hero issue. So come hear it from an actual title and closing or stopping your closing. So it's the last Wednesday of September. Blessings, and you guys stay safe and cool.
Ron Chart, my NHD, Women's Council of Realtors, Assistant Rep Chair. So I'm here, first of all, right after this meeting, we're going to have our Rep Committee meeting. So if you would please take all your conversations. Thank you for that. Yeah, just get out according to and then also on August 18th, coming up, if you haven't bought your tickets, it's our race day. We're going to Del Mar. We're going to have a ton of fun. We have a bus that leaves here. We have plenty of adult beverages and non-adult beverages and food and stuff. And then we're going to be at the races all day. It's a ton of fun. It's only $35. And I'm actually raffling off one of the tickets so you can be my guest today. So if you have any questions, see me. I have flyers. Bye.
We're doing the MLS.
Yes, please go.
Hi, my name is Peter. Mia Waldron, Keller Williams Realty Norco. I will make this super fast. You have to be there today, 11 to 1. I'm doing my broker open. I will have refreshments. I will have raffle and everything. It's over half an acre, completely flat, completely usable, full horse facilities. Everything with the horse facilities is staying, including 5 corrals. They are traveling the country and they need to get this house sold. So 2,480 square feet, 4 bedroom, 3 bath. Like a lit arena at night. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And come see me today, 11 to 1. Thank you. 5590 Trail Street, Norco. I'm the first one on the caravan.
Oh, brag it up. I'm in the middle. And if you can't afford her house in Norco, then come over to a friendly commuter house. I'm doing the same exact thing. $50 giveaway. I'm feeding you. Sorry, it's not ready barbecue this time. I'm sorry. I tried. You want to take the day off. That's all right. I'll get them on Friday night. Okay, so come tonight. It's Monterey Peninsula. And really super cute, remodeled, adorable. These folks are really nice. They want to go to a bigger house. So if you sell this, maybe I'll sell one of yours. Okay? Thank you. 459. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths.
It's not. It's a whole house.
Good morning. Heidi Franklin, your tax partners. I sold my Norco house, so I'm not doing caravan. But I've got this house in Eagle Glen. The short sale package is already sent to the bank. Address is 4177 Anise Circle, Eagle Glen. Price is $643,888. 4 bedroom, 3 baths, single story, pool spa view. It's beautiful, great condition. The bank can close it. They say October 4th or sooner. So we're working on the approval. The next one I have still Yucaipa, the land. Wow, with the view. 11633 Chalin Way. It's on the way to Oak Glen on the right side. It's on the crest of a mountain. It's got an incredible view of the valley. 175,000. Thank you. 1.47 acres.
Good morning, Lázaro Morales on Maturity. Just to remind you guys, I still have that listing in 520 Jenny Circle. There's 5 bedrooms with an executive office downstairs, 2 master suites, nice, beautiful chef kitchen with the island, cherry oak cabinets, the whole nice yard. It's been reduced to $599. You can get a full 3% commission. Please do the math. If it doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will, but that's a good sale. Okay. The lock box is on the gas meter. Just send me a text. You're going to be showing it today or whatever. It's going to be open between 12 and 4 o'clock on Saturday. Please keep it in mind. 520 Jenny Circle. Thank you.
Good job, buddy. Larry Cleaner here. Hey, I've got a motivated seller. In fact, he's back in Florida right now with his family. The address of the property is 2523 North Bellevue. It's on the market for $579, and he says, just bring me an offer. He's already half moved out. It's got a great big barn, nice barn, 1.2 acres of ground, and right there in Bellevue. And he's put a brand new air conditioner in it, probably about 2 weeks ago. So any offer will do it. What, $579 is certainly not the selling price. So you guys bring an offer, take a look. Okay, thanks, guys.
Hi, everybody. I'm Vicki Galvin, Keller Williams Corona, and I will have broker open today from 11 to 2 at 2508 Kennedy. That property has been completely remodeled. Absolutely beautiful transitional feel for the one who wants to move into a home without the high special assessments, no HOAs. Bring a buyer, and I will be hosting open house today, broker open, and I look forward to seeing you there. Food, drinks, and a drawing.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Michelle with Central 21 Senior Corona. I got my own listing for sale and just back into real estate. 2 homes on a .90 acre lot off Holcomb. It's Riverside off Van Buren in the 91. So come see. It's got a separate shop, 4-car garage, office. So bring a buyer. It's my own home. I'm trying to sell. I'll have lunch. I'm doing 2 raffles, 12:15 and 2:15. So come on out.
Right.
It's $779 for 2 homes.
Okay, going.
Hey, good morning. We have Brad from Metropolitan Home Loans, Don from IHD, and Greg from Stewart Title, and Funker helping us out. Okay, we have moving club kit donated by Scott Garrison from North Star Garage Door Service. Jackie Landry. $10 Starbucks card donated by TIGAR, Roger Singer. We have earbuds with microphone donated by TIGAR, Jackie Landry. Okay, we have a coffee travel mug with a shopping bag. We got 2 of these donated by Deborah Crisanto at Wells Fargo. The first one's going to Stephen George. And the second one is going to Deborah Nance. Okay, we got some delicious cookies donated by Gail Boyce and O'Neill Property Management. There's 4 of them. So they are going to Susan Velasquez, Jackie Landry, Alex Valentin. Are we done with the cookies or do we have one more? One more? Okay. David England. Okay. We have a ladies' American Warrior t-shirt donated by Lisa Diaz at Fairway Mortgage. And that is going to Robert Hernandez. Your wife has a t-shirt. Okay. We have a men's American Warrior t-shirt donated by Chad Fullen at Fairway Mortgage. And that's going to Heidi Franklin. I don't know, maybe you want to try it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, we have a speaker donated by Aaron Coelho at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, and that's going to Heidi Franklin. And another speaker donated by Christian DeValle at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, and that is going to Deborah Nance. Okay, we have a ticket to the TIGAR Dan Del Mar. It's donated by Don Sharp at my NHD, and the winner needs to see Don for the ticket. And Mia Walden, you're going to the races. Okay, we have a bottle of Pinot Gris donated by Griselda Gandara at BBVA Compass Bank, and that is going to Aaron Coelho. Very good. We've got, all right, this is a special giveaway. It is a personal pump donated by Brett Kenny. And the winner is Poker Raider. There we go. Thank you. Come all the way up to the front again. There he goes. Personal pump. That's right. Okay, we're going to redraw for this mug and bag, and that is going to James Cameron. Wait a minute. All right, Godiva chocolate donated by Tim Paul at Golden One Home Loans, and that is going Jackie Landry. I mix these up. I do. I spent 10 minutes mixing them up. Okay, we have one more ladies American Warrior t-shirt donated by Judy Marburger at Fairway Mortgage, and that is going to Gabriel Gomez. All right, the total cash today is $75, so we're giving away $37.50. Susie.
All right, guys, thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
I know.